Question 1. Given the circumstances, Maria's company is migrating critical workload from physical servers to vSphere environment. The team is concerned about potential downtime during migration. Which VMware feature should Maria recommend to ensure zero downtime during the transition? A. vMotion. B. Storage Octave. C. Fault tolerance. D. Storage EO control. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. vMotion enables live migration of running VMS between hosts with no downtime, preserving user sessions. Storage DRS optimizes data store use but does not prevent downtime during host migration. Fault tolerance ensures continuous availability during hardware failure, but it's not designed for planned migrations. Storage EO control manages EO resources under contention, not continuity. VMware's best practices recommend vMotion for operational flexibility in such transitions. Question 2. In the absence of proper capacity planning, a vSphere environment is showing frequent CPU contention. What action would best address this issue without adding hardware? A. Enable CPU affinity on critical VMS. B. Use distributed resource scheduler DRS in fully automated mode. C. Apply limits to non-critical VMS. D. Implement storage vMotion to free host resources. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Fully automated DRS balances workloads dynamically across hosts, reducing CPU contention without hardware upgrades. EPU affinity can restrict scheduling flexibility, worsening contention. VM limits may throttle performance unnecessarily. Storage vMotion moves storage net CPU load. VMware design guidelines emphasize DRS as the primary method for CPU load balancing in resource-constrained clusters. Question 3. While examining the data center's backup strategy, Rahul notices that backup windows are causing performance degradation. Which VMware solution could minimize impact during business hours? A. VMware Consolidated Backup. B. vSphere Replication. C. Changed block tracking with compatible backup software. D. VMware Data Protections Deduplication. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Changed block tracking (CBT) ensures only changed data blocks are backed up, significantly reducing backup times and load. Consolidated backup is outdated and not optimal for performance-sensitive environments. vSphere replication is for doctor, not backup efficiency. Deduplication reduces storage needs but doesn't directly minimize backup window duration. VMware backup best practices high CBT as key efficiency feature. Question 4. Considering the evidence, Daniel is tasked with ensuring that a cluster can automatically restart VMS after a host failure. Which vSphere capability should be implemented? A. High availability. B. Fault tolerance. Feed. C. Octaves. D. App hurt. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. How restarts VMS on surviving hosts after a failure, providing cluster-wide resilience. Feed provides continuous uptime for a single VM but has high resource overhead. ERS balances low but doesn't handle host failures. AppHar monitors application health, not host recovery. VMware's clustering guidelines designate her as the primary feature for automated VM restarts post-failure. Question 5. By evaluating a vSphere design, Sophia finds that network bandwidth is inconsistent across hosts, affecting VM migration speeds. What should she verify first? A. That all VM kernel ports for vMotion are using the same VLAN. B. That all physical NICs are using identical link speeds and duplex settings. C. That the vCenter server has enough CPU allocation. D. That jumbo frames are disabled. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Consistent NIC link speeds duplex prevent throughput mismatches that slow vMotion. Mismatched VLANs may cause failures, but bandwidth issues often stem from link negotiation, CPU allocation, and vCenter affect management tasks, not migration bandwidth. Disabling jumbo frames typically reduces performance, not stabilizes it. VMware network configuration best practices stress uniform NIC cluster. Question 6. During the process of troubleshooting, Alex finds that VMS-specific hosts have higher latency than others, despite balanced CPU and memory. Which factor is most likely causing this? A. Storage path redundancy misconfiguration. B. Newman node imbalance. C. Fault tolerance overhead. D. Snapshot chain length. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Feat maintains a secondary VM in lockstep, adding network and CPU overhead, which can increase latency on the host running primaries. Newman balance affects memory access, but not uniformly across balanced CU memory scenarios. Path redundancy issues cause storage errors, not consistent latency. Long snapshot chains, slow disk I/O, but impact may vary. VMware performance tuning notes overhead as a frequent cause in such cases. Question 7. From the perspective of lifecycle management, why is using VMware Update Manager (VUM) critical in large clusters? A. It can deploy new XC hosts. B. It automates patching and upgrade processes with minimal downtime. C. It balances workload during maintenance. D. It prevents misconfiguration of VM settings. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. VUM automates XC patching upgrades, integrating with DRS to minimize downtime. It does not deploy hosts. That's done via auto-deploy, while it leverages DRS for workload balancing. That's not its core function. It doesn't prevent VM misconfiguration, which is addressed by host profiles or configuration management tools. VMware Operational Guidance highlights VUM for maintaining security, stability at scale. Question 8. While it is true that data stores can host multiple VMS, which scenario would most likely benefit from VMware Storage I/O Control (HVAC)? A. When a data store is underutilized. B. When multiple VMS contend for I/O on the same data store. C. When deploying linked clones. D. When vMotion traffic saturates the network. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. HVAC dynamically allocates storage bandwidth to VMS during contention, preventing a single VM from monopolizing I/O. Underutilized data stores need no throttling. Linked clones save storage space but aren't HVAC use case. vMotion bandwidth issues a network concern. VMware storage optimization best practices recommend HVAC in shared data store contention scenarios. Question 9. To better understand the performance issue, MIR reviews vCenter statistics showing high ballooning activity. What does this indicate? A. Excessive CPU overcommitment. B. Insufficient host memory. C. Poor network throughput. D. Misconfigured storage multipathing. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Ballooning is a memory reclamation technique triggered under host memory pressure. CPU overcommitment causes scheduling delays, not ballooning. Network throughput issues are unrelated. Storage multipathing misconfiguration affects I/O, not memory metrics. VMware Resource Management Guidelines note ballooning is a sign of insufficient physical RAM or over-provisioned memory allocations. Question 10. In comparison with traditional Docker methods, what is a key advantage of VMware vSphere replication? A. Zero data loss. B. Hypervisor-based replication without specialized storage. C. Automatic failover without configuration. D. Integration with DRS for load balancing. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. vSphere replication is hypervisor-based and works with heterogeneous storage, enabling flexible Docker without requiring array-level replication. It doesn't guarantee zero data loss. I/O depends on configuration. It requires SRM for automated failover, so failover is not inherently automatic. ERS is unrelated to replication. VMware Docker design documentation emphasizes the independence from storage hardware as primary benefit. Question 11. In light of recent developments, Liam's team is implementing stretched clustering to improve disaster recovery. Which VMware feature is essential to maintain automatic VM restart in case of site failure? A. vSphere HA with site-aware configuration. B. vMotion over long-distance links. C. Storage I/O control with policy-based management. D. Fault tolerance for all critical EMS. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Site-aware vSphere HA ensures VMS restart on surviving site hosts during failures. Long-distance vMotion enables workload migration but doesn't provide automated restart in an outage. HVAC manages I/O fairness unrelated to Docker restart. Feat ensures continuous uptime for single VMS but isn't scalable to all workloads in site. VMware's multi-site Docker designs prioritize site awareness for resiliency. Question 12. When analyzing performance metrics, Olivier observes that a data store latency spike aligns with multiple VMS running intensive backups. Which VMware feature best prevents one VM from degrading others' performance in such cases? A. vSphere replication. B. Storage EO control. C. Store GRS with EO metrics. D. VS snapshots with coercing. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. HVAC regulates EO access when contention occurs, ensuring fair bandwidth allocation. vSphere replication handles disaster recovery, not active performance throttling. Storage DRS with EO metrics helps placement and migration but reacts more slowly to live contention. Snapshots with coercing preserve application consistency but can increase EO load rather than control it. VMware best practice. UCO. Shared data store fairness. Question 13. From a practical standpoint, no one must upgrade multiple SXE hosts without impacting VA availability. Which approach is most suitable? A. Use maintenance mode with DRS to live migrate VMS. B. Shut down all VMS before patching. C. Apply patches manually on each host during off hours. D. Disable ERS to ensure control migration. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Placing hosts in maintenance mode with DRS-enabled triggers vMotion to move VMS automatically, allowing non-disruptive patching. Shutting down VMS disrupts service. Manual patching without migration risks downtime. Disabling DRS removes automation benefits, potentially causing unnecessary outages. VMware lifecycle maintenance guides recommend combining maintenance mode with DRS. Continuous uptime. Question 14. The core principles of VM storage policy management dictate that storage capabilities should align with workload requirements. Which feature enforces these rules automatically? A. vSphere storage policies with storage octars. B. Storage vMotion without policy compliance. C. Host profiles. D. VM kernel network binding. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Host profiles ensure consistent host configuration but do not enforce storage-specific rules. Wait, correction. Actually, in this question, the correct enforcement mechanism is vSphere storage policies, not host profiles. Storage vOcean moves data but won't enforce compliance without policies. Host profiles standardize host setup, not storage. VM kernel binding relates to networking. VMware storage compliance models rely on storage policies to enforce air alignment. Question 15. While examining VM performance, Iva notices balloon driver activity but no swapping on the host. What does this indicate? A. The host is under memory pressure but still within reclaimed limits. B. The host is critically short on memory, causing performance drops. C. Memory limits on the VM are misconfigured. D. EPU of a commitment is forcing reclamation. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Ballooning without swapping means the host is reclaiming unused guest memory to handle pressure while avoiding disk swap, so performance impact is minimal. Critical shortages cause swapping. Misconfigured memory limits may cause ballooning, but here the broader host condition is the main factor. EPU of a commitment affects processing, not memory reclamation. VMware resource guides note ballooning is an early sign of pressure before performance degradation. Question 16. The relationship between resource pools and shares is often misunderstood. In vSphere, what's the primary role of shares in resource pool? They guarantee specific resources to VMS. B. Define priority during contention. C. Reserve resources regardless of usage. D. Limit maximum resource usage. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Shares determine relative priority when contention exists. They don't guarantee resources or set hard limits. Reservations guarantee resources. Limits cap usage. VMware's resource management design notes emphasize that shares only apply when demand exceeds supply, making them flexible performance tuning tool without static allocation. Question 17. Despite the fact that vSphere fault tolerance feed provides continuous availability, what is a key limitation administrators must consider? A. It only supports VMS with more than 4 VC+. B. It increases storage EO usage on primary VM's data store. C. It doubles CPU and memory resource consumption. D. It cannot protect VMS running on shared storage. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. FEAT requires a secondary EM running in sync, consuming equivalent CPU and memory resources as the primary. Earlier FEAT versions had YECU limits, now increased but not to more than 4 as a requirement. FEAT replication uses network bandwidth, not excessive storage EO. Shared storage is supported. VMware HAFI documentation stresses resource planning to accommodate this duplication. Question 18. Upon closer examination, Emma finds that her vSphere cluster experiences frequent vMotion failures during peak hours. Which is the most likely cause? A. Inadequate vMotion network bandwidth. B. Overcommitted CPU resources. C. Data store capacity threshold alerts. D. Incorrect VM kernel routing tables. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. vMotion requires dedicated, sufficient network throughput. The congestion during peak hours can cause failures. EPU commitment affects VM performance, but not migration success directly. Data store alerts don't block vMotion unless capacity is critically low. Routing misconfigurations can cause consistent failures, but time-based correlation suggests bandwidth saturation. VMware recommends isolating vMotion traffic and ensuring gigabit-plus links. Question 19. Historically speaking, what has been a major operational benefit of using VMware vCenter linked mode in multi-site deployments? A. Enables VM live migration between sites over long distances. B. Provides a single pane of glass to manage multiple vCenter instances. C. Replicates all VM data across sites in real time. D. Automatically applies identical host profiles across sites. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Linked mode allows multiple vCenter instances to be viewed and managed together in one interface. It doesn't enable live migration. That depends on networking and storage setup. It doesn't replicate VM data. That's SRM or application tools. Host profile application still requires manual or scripted deployment. VMware multi-site operations highlight linked mode for unified management. Question 20. Throughout the course of an audit, Ethan discovers that several ESXi hosts have inconsistent NTP settings. What is the main risk if this remains uncorrected? A. Increased CPU usage due to time drift. B. Failure of vSphere heartbeat detection. C. Inability to perform vMotion operations. D. Security certificate and log times and mismatches. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Inconsistent NEP causes time drift, leading to mismatched log timestamps and certificate validation errors. EPU usage is not directly impacted. Heartbeat relies on network reachability, not exact time sync. vMotion is tolerant of minor time differences. VMware security and operational guides recommend consistent time settings for auditability and certificate trust. Question 21. The underlying principle of vSphere cluster services is to ensure continuous operations. If a cluster loses access to vCenter server, which feature continues to function without interruption? A. ERS in manual mode. B. vSphere HER. C. vMotion scheduling. D. Host profiles enforcement. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. vSphere HER runs at the host level within the cluster and does not depend on active vCenter connectivity to restart VMS after a host failure. DRS requires vCenter for scheduling decisions, even in manual mode. vMotion operations cannot be initiated without vCenter. Host profiles are enforced through vCenter management. VMware design guidance emphasizes that HER remains active, autonomous during vCenter outages. Question 22. When faced with a requirement to separate VM traffic types, Harper's team must ensure that management, vMotion, and storage traffic are isolated for security and performance. Which VMware technology best addresses this? A. vSphere standard switch with VLANs. B. vSphere distributed switch with traffic separation policies. C. Network EO control without VLANs. D. Link aggregation control protocol LAC. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. A vSphere distributed switch enables consistent network segmentation and isolation across multiple hosts, supporting VLANs and traffic shaping. A standard switch can use VLANs, but lacks centralized management for large-scale separation. Network EO control prioritizes traffic but doesn't inherently separate it. Aggregates bandwidth but doesn't ensure logical isolation. VMware networking practices recommend VDS for enterprise segmentation. Question 23. The question remains whether host maintenance can be performed without downtime in a cluster without shared storage. Which technology enables this? A. vMotion. B. Storage vMotion. C. vSphere replication. D. It is not possible without shared storage. Answer. Correct answer, D. Explanation. vMotion requires shared storage to move VM compute between hosts seamlessly. Storage vMotion moves disk files, but needs VM access during migration. vSphere replication is for Doctor, not maintenance migrations. Without shared storage, live migration is impossible in standard vSphere. The downtime is unavoidable. VMware documentation specifies shared storage as a fundamental VM prerequisite. Question 24. Across different scenarios, Jackson's organization needs to enforce consistent host networking, storage, and security configurations after deploying new hosts. Which feature should be used? A. Host profiles. B. Auto deploy. C. Distributed resource scheduler. D. vSphere templates. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Host profiles capture a reference host's configuration and apply it to others, ensuring uniform setup. Auto-deploy provisions hosts automatically but relies on profiles for configuration consistency. DRS handles workload balancing, not configuration. Templates clone VM configurations, not host settings. VMware operational guidelines recommend host profiles to maintain compliance at scale. Question 25. From multiple perspectives, why might an administrator enable enhanced vMotion compatibility? HVAC a cluster. A. To increase CPU clock speeds on older hosts. B. To allow vMotion across hosts with different CPU generations. C. To enable storage tiering without migration. D. To optimize DRS recommendations for memory balancing. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. F masks advanced CPU instructions so VMS can move seamlessly between hosts with different CPU generations. It cannot increase physical CPU speed. Storage tiering is unrelated to F's. DRS optimizations occur regardless of EPU generation but may be limited without F. VMware cluster design guides recommend EVC for hardware heterogeneity in vMotion environments. Question 26. In response to audit requirements, MIA needs to provide evidence that VMS are encrypted at rest and in motion, which vSphere feature addresses both A. vSAN encryption with VA encryption, B. Storage vMotion with SSL, C. vSphere replication with encryption enabled, D. Encrypted vSphere backups. Answer. Correct answer, A. Explanation. vSAN encryption secures data at rest and VM encryption with VM integration ensures both rest and motion encryption when combined with encrypted vMotion. Storage vMotion with SSL encrypts data in transit but not at rest. vSphere replication encryption protects replication traffic, not storage. Backup encryption secures backup files but not live VM disks. VMware Security Guide prioritize vSAN plus VM encryption for comprehensive coverage. Question 27. By evaluating vSphere alarm history, Olivia notes frequent CPU-ready spikes on specific VMS. What is the most probable cause? A. Excessive CPU commitment on the host. B. Ballooning due to memory overcommitment. C. Misconfigured storage multipathing. D. Overhead from high availability heartbeats. Answer. Correct answer, A. Explanation. EPU ready time increases when E emits for CPU scheduling due to overcommitment. Ballooning is a memory issue. Storage multipathing misconfiguration impacts EO not CPU. Her heartbeats have minimal CPU impact. VMware performance tuning materials identify CPU overcommitment as the leading cause of ready time spikes in virtualized environments. Question 20. The effectiveness of storage DRS is enhanced by what specific metric during load balancing? A. Data store free space percentage. B. Network throughput on vMotion interfaces. C. Storage array replication lag. D. EAE utilization. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Storage DRS as data store space and EO latency as key metrics for load balancing, with free space percentage critical to prevent capacity issues. Network throughput affects migration time but isn't storage DRS metric. Replication lag is storage level doctor data, unrelated to ARS decision making, where E utilization is irrelevant to data store performance. EMware ERS documentation highlights space usage thresholds as primary trigger. Question 29. The general consensus is that stretched clusters improve availability, but what must be in place for VMware how to work across sites? A. A single vCenter instance with linked mode. B. Shared storage accessible from all hosts. C. DRS in partially automated mode. D. VMFS block size uniformity. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. For how to restore VMS across sites, shared storage accessible from all hosts is required so surviving hosts can access VM files. Linked mode is for management visibility, not failover operation. DRS automation, level effects workload balancing, not host function. VFFS block size uniformity improves compatibility but isn't mandatory for her. VMware Site Resilient designs emphasize shared storage as critical. Question 30. Through careful analysis of power management data, Liam's team wants to reduce host energy consumption during low load while keeping VMS available. Which feature should be enabled? A. vSphere Auto Deploy. B. Distributed Power Management. C. Storage EO Control. D. vSphere Replication. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Distributed Power Management (DPM) consolidates workloads onto fewer hosts during low demand, placing unused hosts in standby to save energy. Auto-deploy provisions hosts but doesn't manage power. HVAC handles storage contention unrelated to energy use. Replication addresses doctor, not power savings. VMware efficiency strategies recommend DPM for dynamic energy optimization in clusters.